Welcome to Supper with Sean. So if you recall, is that Kirk? Yes, it is. Yeah, so if you recall a few weeks ago, Martha and I were down in St. Louis, and just so happens that this summer our schedule meets up a few times yet here this summer. So if she forgets anything else, we might do a part 3. So, but appreciate having Martha on again, and just for your information, I've gotten a lot of comments that week that I had you and Deepal on, as well as Andy. A lot of great comments about, just of course a lot of people in our shoes that work off the farm, and but our passion is certainly agriculture. So we're in Kansas, Wichita, Kansas today.
Yes.
And it's one of those things that diversity it's all over out here, right? And I was amazed at it seems pretty wet out here from usual. Is that right?
A couple hours east of here got 9 inches of rain last night.
Wow. So a lot of green pasture, which I assume is probably a little bit more prevalent than normal out here. And so one thing that I did want to talk about, just to make sure that if the Stewart boys are on, when I was coming out here, and really just about 2 hours outside of Wichita, I go under an overpass, and here in Kansas they name their overpasses, and they've got numbers on them so they know I guess which one needs attention. But this one was cattle crossing, literally a cattle crossing. So I was a little surprised about that, and of course you didn't grow up here in Kansas, so briefly tell me a little bit about what your experience has been here in your short time in the West.
Yeah, so as we talked about last time, I grew up in Virginia, but my sister's actually a K-State grad, so
okay.
I have down here a lot. And then just a few months ago, I started leading the Channel brand for Monsanto in Kansas and Colorado, and so I've been spending a lot of time out in this part of the country. And it's a really unique part of agriculture out here. So when I think about the cropping patterns and the different systems, I think it's one of the more diversified areas of the country, especially when you get out into western Kansas and eastern Colorado. It's very different than over here on the eastern side of Kansas. The irrigation alone and the different irrigation systems that are used, let alone the different populations, and whether it's double crop going to sorghum or double crop going to soybeans, even had double crop going to corn in July. It's just a really, really diverse part of the country from an agriculture standpoint. Definitely keeps you on your toes. So we literally were planting up until last week, and I think there's still some people that are also still getting some replant in right now, but double crop soybeans going in the last week of July.
Wow.
So very diverse.
Yeah, I guess. And somebody said sorghum and the aerial view of pivots is beautiful. It sure is. And speaking of water, we're here in the, if you hear water running, there's a little fountain over here in the hotel lobby, so that's the background noise. But so last time we talked about women in ag and kind of how you've gotten your start, and I know you've got a few thoughts that you didn't quite get to share, or maybe forgot, which is easy to do as you've got a lot of things going through your mind. But maybe just share, a few things that have come to mind since we last talked, and how you want to mentor others or try and encourage others to find a mentor.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for the opportunity. I enjoyed it last time, and we were pretty quick last time. I think it was 100 degrees on that rooftop.
Yeah, it was hot, and I think it's 103 outside, which is why we're in here tonight. So
welcome to the West.
Yeah.
So, I did kind of want to hit on a couple more things. Some of the points that we hit on last time was around the idea of not viewing something as an obstacle, to really view something when something gets in your way, to find a way through it. So talked about that a lot, which I think is important. And the other thing, when I think about my career and the different things that I have done, I really think it's important to realize that you just have to gain respect. So anytime you're put into a new position, whether it's a job, a leadership role, whatever it may be, thanks, Kirk.
Whatever. Now you know how it feels to be on this side of it with comments.
It's funny when the comments come in. So, but I think it's important to just realize that you have to gain respect, and that respect is something that is earned. It's not something that's given.
Absolutely.
And so, if you come into a situation as a woman in agriculture where perhaps there hasn't been a lot of women in the past, perhaps that is a bigger challenge. But at the end of the day, even for a new person, it's going to be a challenge. And so, to me, you have to find a way to get out there and really make people believe in you and see that you're committed to them and that you're committed part of the process and you're willing to put the hard work in.
So in other words, you have to own it?
You have to own it.
Yeah,
fantastic. I love that saying.
Right,
I've been saying that for years. You might have even gotten that from me.
Yeah,
so, you do. You have to own it. You have to be prepared just to realize that you're not going to instantly have respect.
Right. And how do you find yourself earning that respect, or are you, how do you reach out to people and find a mentor as a young woman in agriculture?
Yeah, so from the standpoint of earning respect, something I've really had to learn in my career is a lot of humility.
Yeah.
And I think early on in my career, I thought people expected me to know everything, and that's really not the case.
Yeah.
And I think a little dose of honesty can go a long way. When you're put in a situation where you don't know what you're doing or you're new, just being honest and admitting that can go so far. And one thing that I've really learned is that people love to talk about what they do, and they love to teach. And when you let somebody have the opportunity to teach you, they generally tend to become vested in you as a person, invested in your success. And so rather than entering a situation of trying to be a know-it-all or trying to act like you know things that you don't, doing the exact opposite can actually have much better dividend in the long run.
That's absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a great call out. And it's interesting. Yeah, as you say that. Just having that, it helps develop the relationship, right? And we know that certainly in this business, it's all about relationships, and that's a great way to start out that relationship with a customer or even a coworker that you're trying to gain some trust and respect from. So,
I was reading the thing on LinkedIn today. I had a little 6-hour delay in an airport today, so I got caught up on my LinkedIn, and unexpected delay, might I add. And I saw an interesting chart that was talking about what makes people successful and what makes them happy in a job. And one of the things mentioned was to have a best friend in the job place, and I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And so when I think about being a woman, which I agree with completely, I've got several of those. I think Sean is one of those, as well as a couple of the people who popped in here.
Yeah.
I'm lucky to have several good friends in the business. But when I think about that from the standpoint of a woman, I think that's just as important. If you do find yourself in a situation where there aren't many other women, or maybe you're one of the first women to find other women that can talk through those situations for you, is hugely important. And I've been really lucky, and in particular in my last job, to work with some amazing women in agriculture. So whether it's Secretary of Agriculture of Mississippi, Cindy Hyde-Smith, phenomenal woman. She was first woman agriculture commissioner in Mississippi, first Senate Ag Chair in Mississippi. Also Katie Koba, she's the Oregon Secretary of Agriculture, one of the longest running ones in the country. Just phenomenal women who really paved the way for me. But on top of that, something else I was thinking about today when I was sitting in the airport, there's been all this conversation the last week about breaking the ceiling, right? Kudos to Hillary Clinton for being the first woman nominee for a major party.
You just had to throw that in there, didn't you?
Had to throw that in there, so it's pretty cool.
Kirk, you can't hurt that one.
Kirk will give me feedback on that later. But that is a really cool moment, but it really, I guess it makes me think in a couple different directions. So lots of comments on this. But it's great to break. So it's great to break through a ceiling. That's a cool moment, whatever it may be. But I think it's just important to make sure that you're set up so when you do break through that ceiling, that you continue to soar and that ceiling doesn't fall in on top of you. And I think sometimes it is easy as a woman in agriculture, if you're in a male-dominated part of agriculture, to focus too much on breaking ceilings rather than focusing on making sure that you're going to do the right job and that you're well positioned so that if you are breaking the ceiling, that you keep climbing up. I've probably seen a few too many times in my career where people maybe weren't quite ready, whether it's a woman or not, but we're trying to push through whatever that glass ceiling might be a little too quickly. So I'd really urge people to think through that and make sure you're ready to break that glass ceiling.
And deep thoughts like that are exactly why we needed round 2 of this. So absolutely. And I think just a lot to think about as young farmers, because that's very true as well. Male or female, it's important that we're paying attention to our businesses as farmers to make sure that as we grow, we're not growing too fast. That when we visit with a banker, whether we visit with our friends, that we don't put ourselves out there just a little bit too far and take more risks than what we need. So whether that's in our careers as a woman or a male in ag, but Martha is one of those individuals that I've gotten to know, as we kind of alluded to last time, over the past several years, that just totally stand up. And as you can tell by some of the insights she shared tonight, there's a reason that you've got to build that team. And Martha, as we talked about last week, building that team, Martha's hopefully one of my team that certainly reach out and we have lots of conversations, and those are the people you need. So Martha, thanks for joining us again tonight on Supper with Sean.
Thanks for having me.
Glad you finally made it in here. And
glad to have a second Monday with Martha.
Yeah, absolutely. Monday with Martha, and who knows, we might do a Thursday with Martha if we come up with other things that we missed throughout the rest of the month here. So, everybody, thanks for watching. Have a great night. Be safe out there.
Thanks,
Brent. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, everyone.